Awesome app developers, it's Prof G, and it's time to accentuate your app with accent colors. We'll also use the tint modifier, and we'll introduce dark mode, how you can create colors that change depending on light or dark mode, how you can switch modes in both preview and the simulator, and how we can create preview providers that allow us to move between modes in the preview with only a tab button click. Let's accentuate the big learning. If you're new here, welcome. You might want to check out the course playlist to see how we got here. Now, another thing that we might want to do with this app is to change the tint color for the controls. Green on is Apple's default for the tint on a toggle, and we're also using the default tint for the prominent bordered button style, which is blue. But we can change both of these with the tint modifier. You certainly don't have to, but it would give our app a more consistent look. So I'll first head over to the toggle view and add .tint and pass in .blue, and now the background of the on option on the toggle looks more like the button background. Now I can also pass in a different color if I want, like .indigo, and I can go down to the button and I can add a tint modifier underneath the button, passing in .indigo here as well. These work great. But also know that since both of these controls are in the H stack, I can cut out those two tint modifiers and instead put one tint modifier below the H stack. I'll collapse the H stack in the code folding ribbon so it's easier to see. So that's a quicker way to apply the tint to all of the items within a given stack. Now, another thing that you might want to do is to work with the accent color. So why don't we head over to the asset catalog and give that a try. Open the project navigator and click assets, then make sure that the accent color is selected, and we should see the single universal option selected. But let's work with both light mode and dark mode colors. So click the universal box, but then open up the attributes inspector and change appearance from none to any, dark. So with the any appearance box first selected, click on the show color panel button on the bottom of the attributes inspector. In the color pencil area, I'm going to select blueberry, and then I'll click on the dark box and I'll select my dark mode accent color to, how about red? Or, pardon me, it looks like the actual name for this color is maraschino. And then let's try this out. So we'll head back to content view. I'll close the color panel, then let me find my tint under the H stack. And I'm going to change my tint to .accent color, capital A, capital C accent color. The accent color changes from indigo to blueberry, but now let's check out dark mode. Let me show you how to do that. So I see icons down here below in our preview canvas, and find the one that looks like toggles. The tooltip for this option, we'll call it device settings. Just click the color scheme toggle, and then you can click the radio button to select dark mode. Mine's already selected. And oh, look at that! It worked for me. We can see the preview in dark mode, and we can see our cool red accent color. Nice! Now you can also build and run in the simulator and change to dark mode too. Make sure you have a phone selected in the scheme. If not, you can click here and pull down. Mine selected to show the same phone that was in my preview. Then I'll click this play button that you can find just to the right of the traffic light. That's going to launch the simulator, which is a separate application from Xcode, but it was installed with Xcode and it's going to be connected to Xcode. And each time you open Xcode and run the simulator for the first time, it might take 30 seconds or more for the simulator to set up. You'll notice some status changes in this area that I've highlighted in the upper right-hand corner of the title bar. Hey, but there's our app. We're running in dark mode. We can see the dark background of our launch screen. So with the simulator running, let's head up to the features menu in the simulator, select toggle appearance, and look at that. Dark mode changes to light mode. We see our accent color changes to our other choice too. Nice.
Yay!
So now I'll quit out of the simulator, hide the debug pane, which always pops up when the simulator's running, and I'll restart preview. Now let me show you a few more options for comparing light mode and dark mode. If you head down to these icons in preview, there's one that looks like 2 rows of 3 boxes. The tooltip calls this variants. Click this. The pop-up shows several options. Select color scheme variants, and you see light mode and dark mode next to each other. Now this is nice for a quick side-by-side comparison, although unfortunately these aren't interactive. So if you click one, it expands, but it won't do anything if you click it again. You can click on the X in the upper left-hand corner to return to side-by-side view, but again, if you click one, it just zooms up. It won't do anything. Now remember, you can run things in live preview mode, and whatever mode you selected over here under device settings, remember that's this icon that looks like 2 toggles, this will hold through live preview. So I just shut off the color scheme. This goes back to light mode. This will hold through live preview, but there's another technique that will allow you to more easily switch between modes, but it involves a little bit of programming in the preview macro. That's this hashtag preview area down here. You might hear some people call that preview provider. That's the old name for this. Apologies if I slip up. I'm an old timer, so I might use the old term from time to time, but you can also just refer to this as your preview code or the preview. This code down here is only for displaying in the preview canvas. It doesn't run when you're app runs. It's just for what we do in Xcode. Now, I've had some students delete this by accident and wonder where their preview provider went. If you delete this code, the preview goes away. Also, if you accidentally delete a curly brace from your struct, then Xcode won't know what to do with the preview provider code down here. When you fixed indentation, remember that's Command-A, Control-I. The preview code should be flush left. If you lose your preview, but your preview code is in here, look for a missing curly brace. Make sure you don't delete this code with the hashtag preview after it. This code needs to be there, and it needs to be in this location. Another thing to check if you've lost your preview is to go up here to this icon that's the Adjust Editor options. Sometimes the canvas is clicked off or you've dragged the preview over all the way to the left. You can just get it back by selecting Canvas, again, right under this middle icon here, this one that says Adjust Editor options. Now, one thing we can also do is to create separate preview code, one for light mode and one for dark mode, and we'll be able to switch from one to the other simply by tapping a tab button. We name these tabs with parentheses after the word preview, so right after preview here, I'm going to add parentheses, and then I'm going to add a string, which will be light mode. Now, we're also going to add a modifier to the content view down here. The modifier we want to use in here is .preferred color scheme. Now, code completion says that this sets the preferred color scheme for the presentation. Here, that means the preview. It wants a color scheme in here. What are the options? Our friend .notation will tell us. And there is a .light in here, so we'll select that. Now, nothing changes, but let's highlight all 4 lines of the preview provider code here, copy it, and we're going to create a second tab up here to show dark mode. So paste this copied code down below the end of our code, and let's change the string for the second option here from light mode to dark mode, and the color scheme to .dark. And look at that, Swifter. Now we have 2 tab buttons up top, one for light mode, one for dark mode. Both of these are interactive. Each of these was created by the separate block of preview code that we see at the bottom of our code. You can toggle back and forth between these two. It's a little more convenient if you don't mind writing extra code. Now you know about that. It's all interactive. Nice work, Swifter. We learned about tints, accent colors, and a whole lot about light mode and dark mode in the preview and simulator. After all this, you might be feeling like the Duchess or Duke of Design, and you should. Your app looks magnificent. Why don't you take a screenshot of that goodness and post it to the socials with the hashtag BuiltWithProfG, CC me on it at Gallagher, and that'll get you in on the possibility of winning one of those sweet, sweet My Mac Builds Apps laptop stickers. You should have one because your Mac does build apps at this point. But even though we're finishing up this app, be sure to come back for more apps and more big learning, and continue to hack.